Yo, what's up, y'all? It's the MMA Analyst, and I'm here to do my prediction video for UFC 91. First off, let me just say this right away. The promo for this fight, Lesnar versus Couture, Couture versus Lesnar, that's a sick promo video. Like, whatever it is. And then, that guy is my hero, and then he hits Tim Sylvia with that overhand right or that straight right, and then dude turns to the corner. He's like, Brock Lesnar's like, slow mo, looking like a beast. Yo, man, they put some extra special time into this one. I still can't stand the only on pay-per-view, but it's all good. UFC 91. One amazing main event. Other than that, not too much. Not too much exciting about this card. But let's get right into it. Brock Lesnar, 2-1, former WWE superstar. He had a win over Min Soo Kim in his MMA debut. He has a knee bar loss to Frank Mir, as he would say it, and it was a fight that he looked like he was gonna win. He was doing some serious ground and pound with his quadruple or whatever huge ass hands and MMA gloves, and the Mazzagatti stepped in, took away a point, stood the fight up, and possibly saved Mir from a ground and pound that would end the fight. Mir came back, he caught Brock, and that was that. In his next fight, which was his last fight up until now, he pretty much dominated Heath Herring. It was very clear that he had no idea how to finish the fight. However, he did know how to run straight at a man like he was trying to take his head off. I don't know what he wanted to do if he would have, when he came in and dove at Herring. I don't know if he was trying to decapitate him, if he was trying to just butt heads, and that would not have been cool if they would have hit heads. Like, that's not a move. That is not a move in any martial art. That's a football tackle. And they are not wearing football pads. Anyways, he's an All-American college wrestler. We know that. We know that he's 280 pounds and he cuts down to 265 pounds of muscle. He's extremely fast for his size. He's extremely strong, and I mean, really, he's a physical specimen. He trains at Minnesota Mixed Martial Arts Academy with Sean Shirk. I've always said that Brock Lesnar is like the heavyweight version of Sean Shirk. Obviously, Sean Shirk has a great ability and knowledge for submission defense and really submissions and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So if Lesnar ever got to the point on the ground where Sean Shirk is on the ground where you're not really going to submit Sean Shirk, if Lesnar got to that point, that would be a scary point. Anyways, he trains with Sean Shirk, Nick Thompson, and Logan Clark, who has back-to-back Son Goku losses right about now. Anyways, he is where he is. Brock Lesnar is where he is right now, and I'm talking about the title shot, because he will make everybody involved with that match a lot of money. Dana White, the Fertittas, himself, Randy. I mean, everybody involved with that matchup is going to make a lot of money. I don't really want to get into it that much, but it's like this. MMA will become a full-blown sport. Like, maybe not bigger than it is now, but it will be viewed as a sport when the guy who deserves the title shot gets the title shot. Period. Example, the boring-ass Spurs. Those guys are always in the finals. Always, trying to get that title. And the exciting Suns for the last few years are always watching on their TV. Why? Because it's a sport, and you can't decide who makes it to the finals. You can't decide who makes it to the Super Bowl. The way MMA is set up right now, Verdum and Machida, not Verdum after his loss to Santos, but after his back-to-back-to-back wins where he was promised title shots, and Machida, who's undefeated and beating some good guys. The way it's set up right now, those guys don't get title shots, and Lesnar does. Whatever. We're here. I believe it's kind of like MMA is set up. It's a sport, whereas we've got guys actually fighting, actually trying to win. It's not set up. The outcome is not determined before the fight. However, it's very much still set up like WWE, and who else to illustrate that than Brock Lesnar getting a title shot after one win. It happens all the time. It happens in other leagues. Takanori Gomi's going to get his title shot over in Sengoku coming off a loss. So, it is what it is. But anyways, I can't lie. I'm excited for the fight. Up until now, I've actually been rooting for Brock Lesnar. I rooted for him against Frank Mir. I don't know why. Maybe just because I figure, he brings a serious presence to the UFC heavyweight division. When he lost, I was like, no big deal, because that's what he needs to do. He needs to recognize submission games are serious, and he's got to take heed and learn defenses. I rooted for him against Heath Herring. And that was a crazy fight. A lot of people said it was boring, whatever, whatnot. However, I will not be rooting for him in this fight against the dude who always wins when he's not supposed to win, Randy Couture. He's 16-8. He's fought the best the UFC has to offer, minus Andrei Arlovski. His record is deceiving. He has never had an easy fight. He's always been too old. He's always been the underdog, and he's always fought top guys. Right after Gabriel Gonzaga, freaking kicked Krokop's head off and twisted his knee all up, Gabriel Gonzaga came in. Everybody thought Gabriel Gonzaga was going to beat Randy Couture. I personally did not think he was going to beat Randy Couture, but whatever. He didn't. He actually got dominated, and he got broke down physically and mentally in a fight that I thought Randy Couture couldn't win. Tim Sylvia, big ass Tim Sylvia. Randy Couture came in with a game plan. He even it was documented. He said, I always used to train with Tim Sylvia, and whenever we used to spar, I would always start with the low kick. And Tim Sylvia responded in his own video, whenever we used to train, Randy Couture would always start with the low kick. It's what he does. It's a habit of his. It's what he does. So Randy Couture is like, instead, I'm going to come out, fake the low kick, and go with the overhand right. And then Tim Sylvia said, I did not wake up until the 5th round. And I didn't believe it. But I'm watching the video, the fight, and it's the 5th round. Going into the last round, and his cornerman is like, you got 5 minutes left. And Tim Sylvia is like, what? What do you mean? What round is it? He's like, it's the 5th round. And Tim Sylvia was just like, what? So yeah, Randy Couture's got game plans. We know that. He beat Vitor Belfort twice. He was the underdog both times. He beat Kevin Randleman back in the day when Randleman was just a wrestling beast. Pedro Hizzo 2 times. Maurice Smith, Tito Ortiz. The first time he fought Chuck Liddell, beat Chuck Liddell. His losses, he lost to Chuck Liddell twice. He lost to Vitor Belfort. He lost to Rico Rodriguez, Josh Barnett. And he picked up a pair of losses back in 2000 or whatever in rings. Just for the record, in a tournament, in the rings tournament, Fedor could have faced Randy back in 2000. They were both in the same tournament, but Fedor was cut 17 seconds into a fight by an illegal blow. They eliminated him from the tournament and gave him a weak-ass loss that was not really a loss. Anyways, this is Couture's toughest fight in his career, if you ask me. Though Brock Lesnar is less of a threat to other fighters who have different strengths, he's probably the second toughest matchup right now for Couture besides Fedor. Couture and Brock are very similar in styles, but the difference is Brock is over 10 years younger. He's 50 pounds heavier. He's stronger. He's faster. And likely he's a better wrestler. And not because of his skills, but just sheer size. His wrestling will be an advantage for Brock Lesnar. The current key to beating Brock Lesnar is by submission and not to the neck or an arm bar. You're not going to be able to, to arm bar Brock Lesnar off the back or guillotine choke. That's ridiculous. You can barely even hold Brock Lesnar in your guard. You can armbar Brock Lesnar if you got him mounted, but who's going to put Brock Lesnar on his back and how? And how are you going to keep him there? The way to do it is how Frank Mir did it. It's submit his leg, his heel, his knee, whatever. And that's going to be off your back. And Randy doesn't really have that as a strong point in his game. He can try to outbox Lesnar, but Lesnar's not trying to box. He's going to try to take this to the ground. I highly doubt Randy or anybody else could stuff an early takedown attempt of Brock Lesnar. I don't know. Like, when it comes to people who can beat Brock Lesnar with less trouble, you got Mir, Nogueira, off the back, take a beating, submit him. Fedor, dominate the fight. Josh Barnett, big guy, submission expert. Alexander Emelianenko, big guy, really good with Sambo and submissions. Gabriel Gonzaga, big guy, really good with submissions. Roger Gracie, same thing, big guy, MMA fighter, really good in jiu-jitsu. These are the guys that can submit you from anywhere the fight goes, and those are the guys that have a great advantage over Brock Lesnar. Randy Couture, on the other hand, I have no idea how he would win this fight. I think the only way Brock Lesnar will lose to Randy Couture in this fight is A, if Randy Couture can catch him with some kind of knockout, but he's not going to be jabbing. Brock Lesnar's not going to come out and start throwing jabs and trying to box. He's going to try and take the fight to the ground. So I think what they'd have to do, if maybe Brock Lesnar shoots, and then, Randy can do that side-to-side motion, move out of the way, kind of like a train's coming at you. You just move out of the way, and maybe somehow pin him up against the cage and try the dirty boxing. Maybe if you can damage him with the dirty boxing, take him down like he did Gonzaga, maybe break that nose with a accidental headbutt. I don't know, but it's gonna be tough. As for Brock, how can he win? He can win by TKO on the ground and pound. He's obviously not gonna submit him. I don't know. His Herring fight shows that he has no clue how to win a fight by submission, and he's not interested in striking unless it's to set up a takedown. So, like I said, it's going to be tough. What I see happening in this fight, I see Brock Lesnar getting either A, a fast win by way of takedown, ground and pound, probably within the first 2 minutes, or B, Brock Lesnar being able to dominate the fight like in the Heath Herring fight and not being able to finish the fight just because he doesn't have those skills yet, and winning a 5-round decision where Randy just doesn't get hit to the point where the fight's over, where he just, can defend his brain and stay conscious, and the referee doesn't stop the fight. There's not going to be any quick stoppages with Randy Couture in the cage. It's not like the ref's going to jump in when Randy's, injured real quick or he's dazed. They're going to give him a chance. He's Randy Couture. So Brock Lesnar is really going to have to pound him out in order for there to be a stoppage, and this is a very high potential, especially after we've seen the Herring fight, that just isn't going to happen. I hope Randy can pull something off here. I mean, if he can come to the game with an amazing game plan, superior game plan, and get the win, that'll be amazing. But I have to say, I'm going Brock Lesnar by decision. P.S. If Randy does win this fight, it'll be his most impressive moment. If I was him, I would just be like, I quit. I would grab the microphone, be like, I want to thank my sponsors, I love my wife, and maybe a little tear, and then I just toss the mic down like, I quit, biatches, and then I just walk out with my hands in the air like I'm the greatest. He wouldn't be the greatest, but it would be crazy to see it. the Fedor fight's never gonna happen. It's over. Randy's admitted it. Recently, some dude at Affliction said, "I hope Brock Lesnar kills Randy." So he said wants nothing to do with Affliction anymore. Fedor's never coming to the UFC. He's making good money, beating top guys. I mean, he can potentially beat every UFC heavyweight champion except for Randy Couture without even going to the UFC. He's already beat 4 of them. Arlovsky would be the 5th. Barnett would be the 6th. So there's no reason for him to shake up what's already working. Randy Couture is 45, turning 46. He's got to potentially get through Brock Lesnar, then Nogueira, and then, who knows, freaking Chuck Liddell. So unfortunately, it's never going to happen. This is, by the way, this is the kind of card that Dana White would talk bad about boxing for. Put one big fight as the main event and then a whole bunch of little fights under it. Vanderlei Silva vs. Rampage was supposed to be on this card, but they took it off. They think it's going to sell enough with this main event, and it probably will be the most lucrative pay-per-view event for the UFC. But the rest of the card is not too compelling outside of fight number 2, Kenny Florian versus Joe Daddy Stevenson. Ken Florian, 10 wins, 3 losses. He's on a 5-fight winning streak since losing to Sean Shirk in 2006. He's got wins over Roger Huerta, Lozon, Dane Thomas, Alvin Robertson, Sam Stout, and others in his career. Kenny finish fights is almost completely truthful. He did stop every opponent in his first 9 wins before losing a decision to Roger El Matador Huerta. His losses to Sean Shirk, and he also has a loss to Diego Sanchez in the finale of the Ultimate Fighter TV show. He also lost to Drew Fickett outside of the UFC. It was his 3rd fight. Florian's well-rounded. He's got a great ground game. He's got pretty good hands. He's lanky. He's able to. He'll be able to outbox Stevenson, and he will probably. Stevenson's probably going to end up being his 2nd toughest opponent besides Sean Shirk. Joe Stevenson, 29 wins, 8 losses in the game since 1999. He fought and lost to Jens Pulver in his 2nd MMA match. He won the Ultimate Fighter TV show with a decision over Luke Kumo. He since then only lost to Josh Neer and BJ Penn. Since 2005, he's got 13 submissions. Although most of them are rear naked chokes and guillotines. He's got 6 knockouts. He's got wins over Yves Edwards, Melvin Gillard, Kurt Pellegrino, and most recently Gleason Tebow. He's also very well-rounded. He trains out of California, and he will be looking to beat Florian. And whoever wins here will be right back in line for a title shot. They've each had a title shot in the past. Florian fought and lost to Shirk. Stevenson fought and lost to Penn. And, they want to get back in that picture. And I think a win here would probably put them in that title shot picture. But they're going to have to wait, just like Thiago Alves is going to have to wait for the BJ Penn GSP matchup. What happens here? I don't see a stoppage in the fight. I don't think Florian, is going to be able to stop Joe Stevenson. I don't think Stevenson is going to be able to stop Florian. However, I do think that Florian will have the advantage on the feet and on the ground. He's taller, he's longer, he's going to be able to box and uses pretty good boxing to dictate the fight on the feet. If it goes to the ground, Florian, I think he's got the black belt. He's good on the ground. I don't see Stevenson catching Florian with his often successful guillotine, and I don't see him beating him with strikes. I think Florian dictates where the fight goes and edges out his 2nd or his back-to-back unanimous decision. All right, so Joe Stevenson will lose to Florian by unanimous decision. All right, here's where the card gets a little shaky. Amir Sadallah versus Nick Catone. Amir Sadallah, very impressive on the Ultimate Fighter show. He repeatedly took out guys who we all thought he would lose to. He arguably had one of the toughest roads to the champion to the title, I guess you could say, to the Ultimate Fighter title. I forget all the guys' names, but basically he had to beat some pretty tough guys. He had no MMA experience. He beat CB, Cauliflower, Dalloway, and then beat him again. So you've got Amir Sadallah, 1-0 in MMA, 2-0 against people with the first name CB, or initial CB. He trains at Extreme Couture. He has a pretty good ground game, and he'll be looking to take out the undefeated Nick Catone. 6-0. He spent the majority of his short career in Ring of Combat. He's only gone past the first round once. He's on a 3-fight TKO winning streak. He has no notable wins, but he is the Ring of Combat middleweight champion. He is, he's stepping it up to the big leagues right now. He's an accomplished wrestler, 2-time Division I champion, trains at a Joyzy Shore BJJ Academy, and also he's got his purple belt under Ricardo Almeida. It's a tough fight to call with very little knowledge on either fighter. I'm going to go with Catone winning this one. I think he'll get a round 2 stoppage. It should be an interesting fight. Young guys looking to make an impression on the UFC management, whatnot. Amir, of course, he would like to keep winning. He would like to win his first win in the UFC on his Ultimate Fighter contract. I'm going to go with Nick Catone here. It's probably, I don't know, he might not win it, but I'm going to go with Nick. Could be a good fight. Up next, Gabriel Gonzaga versus Josh Hendricks. Gabriel Gonzaga, 10-3, coming off a pretty easy win over McCulley. He looks to keep the win column growing. He's got awesome Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he's most known in MMA for his impressive Crow Cop impression over Crow Cop. He got his title shot with that win, and then, like I said before, he was broken down physically and mentally by Randy Couture. And then a few months, like 5 months later, he lost to Verdun. He also has some wins over Carmelo Marrero, Fabiano Scherner, Brandon Lee Hinkle, Kevin Jordan, and he also has a second loss back in 2003 to Fabricio Verdun. After his win over Crow Cop, there was a lot of hype about Gabriel Gonzaga. He basically, he didn't come out of nowhere, but he definitely was not in there to win that fight, according to most people. He won it by impressive, destructful manner, and then all the hype pretty much disappeared after his back-to-back losses. He's looking to continue back to the title shot. He'll have to take out Josh Hendricks to do so. Josh Hendricks, 15-4, 10 wins by submission, 4 TKOs. So he's got 15. He's got 14 finishes in 15 fights. He's got 1 single decision. However, his level of competition leaves much to be desired. Of his wins, none are over known guys, and of his 4 losses, 2 of them are to Travis View and Sam Hoger. He spent the majority of his career, or really all of his career, on small cards, and he's finished most guys in the first round. He is on an 11-fight undefeated streak since 2005, but all of that will likely not be enough. Gabriel Gonzaga has pretty good striking. He's got powerful kicks, and far superior Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think Gabe will take this to the ground. By way of strikes, he'll drop Hendricks with some kind of a strike, and he'll finish it on the ground via submission. I think this fight will not make it past the second minute of the first round. So that's Gabriel Gonzaga by submission quickly. And finally, Damian Maia versus Nate Quarry. Damian Maia, 8-0, 6 submissions. His last 3 wins in the UFC were all submission of the night. They were also his only 3 fights in the UFC. He trains with Team Brasa. He fights out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. When it comes down to it, it's like this. Damian Maia is one of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in MMA and one of the best in the world, period. In his 2007 80cc championship run, two of the guys he defeated were Yushin Okami and, even more impressive, Lovato. In MMA, he's got impressive wins over Machado, Fabio Nagao, Jensen, Ed Herman, and most recently McDonald. He's definitely one of those guys I would love to see face Anderson Silva before Anderson Silva retires. He's got a ton of talent, and again, he has transitioned his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu into MMA almost flawlessly. He'll be facing Nate Quarry. He's 10-2. He's got losses coming to Rich Franklin, where dude straight up got stiffed up. He got knocked out and just leg up, and it was a hard ass shot. It was nasty. It was for the middleweight title. He also lost to the same Machado that Almeida defeated. Nate lost to Machado in 2003. Almeida defeated Machado in 2006. The UFC is notorious for these types of matches. You know, you face this guy and you beat him, and you face this guy and you lost, put it together. Or you both lost to this guy, put him together. Or you both beat this guy. I mean, they do it on purpose. I like it. It adds a little, like, subplot to it. Anyways, you know, Nate Quarry started his MMA career with a TKO win over Drew McFedery's, and since then has defeated Sincade, Shoney Carter, Pete Sell 2 times, and we all remember when he lost that marathon to Caleb Starnes. And don't get it twisted, he definitely won the fight, but he lost the race. This is a very tough matchup for Nate, and with 6 KOs in his ground game not being on the level of gods, he's definitely going to have to win this fight on the feet. But the minute this fight goes to the ground, it's done. If Damian Maia gets side mount, half guard, it's over. I mean, seriously, if he pulls guard, he'll likely just pass the guard, or even, he can submit off his back, sweep, pass guard, submit, or he could just do a standing guillotine. I mean, the dude can submit from anywhere, and it's going to be very, very tough fight for Nate Quarry to avoid being submitted in. He's in for a rough night, and I believe Nate Quarry is on one hit wonder status, meaning, you know, he's got that, you know, that one hit, and if he gets it, then he could win the fight. But I don't know if he's going to be able to get it done. I've got Maia for submission of the night, 4th time in a row in round 2. All right, on the undercard, we've got Dustin Hazlitt versus McCrory. I've got Hazlitt winning 3rd round submission, and unless Randy does like what Randy does, this might be the fight of the night. George Gurgel versus Riley. If Gurgel doesn't pull off a win here, the UFC needs to cut him, and stick to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man. I am tired of watching lackluster performances in both losses and wins involving George Gurgel. He always has a game plan that he never sticks to. He comes out and wants to be impressive, and instead he ends up being boring, and he ends up losing to guys that he probably shouldn't lose to. I mean, he had a real good fight against Diego Saravia, but no, man. Gurgel, put it together, man. Gurgel, submission, round 1. Get it done. Now we've got 22-year-old Jeremy Stevens against Rafael Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos, he has a loss to George Brito, who is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach at my school at Toronto BJJ. Anyways, I've got the youngin, Jeremy Stevens, taking this one by TKO in the first round. I've also got Alvin Robinson taking out fellow Canadian Mark Bocek by decision. And finally, I think Matt Brown will rebound after his loss over to Stun Gun. He will rebound with the TKO win over Ryan Thomas in the second round. Compelling main event for the card. Potential history to be made. History of Randy Couture pulls off a very impressive and unlikely win. And it is unlikely, not because Brock Lesnar is so great a fighter, but because he's just so difficult a fighter to fight. Randy can, pull it off. History. If Brock Lesnar wins, history. Now he's officially the heavyweight champion of the UFC, and then he's got to fight the interim champion, which would be either Nogueira or Amir. But the fact is, he's the heavyweight champion, so that's kind of crazy, but whatever. There will be an undisputed champion after that, but it will still go down in the history books that he is the champion. Nogueira isn't even the champion. He's the interim champion, so that's kind of crazy. Anyways, again, like I said, it's not that great of a card. The main event is great. It's nice to see Maia fighting. Stevenson versus Florian. That could be a great fight. A lot of implications as to what's going to happen next in the lightweight division, kind of pending on that bout. Another little thing, it's hard to make predictions with dudes that you just don't see a lot of. When you've got a guy you know a lot about, and he comes out and he does the same thing every time, or you know what he can do, and he's fighting another guy like that, then you can pretty much, try and call stuff. But when you got these young guys, and they fight lower level guys, and then they come in and they fight UFC guys that are on the lower level, that's tough. I'm hoping to get 6 out of 10 in this one. If I get more, I'll be impressed. If I get less, damn, it's not good, but whatever. It's a tricky card. UFC 92, UFC 93. Wow. Just wow. The December 27th card is going to be out of control. And then you've got one in July, UFC 93. Oh my goodness. These next ones are going to be crazy. The UFC is pulling out some serious ass events coming up. I'm excited for those. The UFC video game coming out in May. That's far, man. May 2009. That's too far, but whatever. The MMA Analyst, doing my best, doing my thing. MMA is important, y'all. Peace. Obama.